Great, we're recording. Awesome. Hi guys, it's Jenny here. I've got Julie Voris with me. As you know, we're doing a little Q&A interview style webinar for today. Normally our Body Electric webinar is just me talking to you guys on Wednesday night, but in this case, we're pre-recording this interview with Julie. She's looking gorgeous, sitting in her home in Carmel. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background because some of you guys that are newer to the team probably are like, who is Julie Voris and why does this matter to me? So Julie is my upline coach. And Julie, give me your rank at this moment.
Right now in my first business center, I'm 9-star diamond, 11-star qualifying. In my second business center, I'm 5-star diamond. And in my third business center, I'm 2-star diamond.
Perfect. So what that means, team, is that she's quite successful as a coach, and she's also been able to groom a mad amount of other diamonds on her team. So I'm lucky to be one of them. I'm one of her personally sponsored coaches, although it didn't really start out that way. I didn't know Julie until I got signed up as a coach. So ended up being that the coach that I signed under ended up leaving the business, and Julie's been a mentor to me prior to that happening and ever since. So what I want to do is I want to dive right into the questions. I've got about 15 questions here to ask Julie, and we've got some limited time to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So Julie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background, where you were before Beachbody, how Beachbody came into your life, and where you are now.
Okay, perfect. So I was a high school English teacher from a small town, the journey song, just a small town girl. That would be me. I grew up with a cornfield in my backyard, met my husband, we got married. My husband is a college football coach. I was a high school English teacher. And with my husband's job, we tend to move and be a little bit more transient. And during one of our moves, we decided that I would stay home from teaching, and I got involved with a YMCA, and I had always been the kid that could not sit still, but never really did anything organized fitness-wise, play sports and was in constant movement, as I probably will be now. It's just kind of who I am, but didn't do anything organized fitness-wise. But we joined a YMCA. I found group fitness really for the first time and fell in love with it. I was pregnant with our third child. We moved again. I joined the YMCA where we lived in Wisconsin, and we were pretty heavily involved in that Y as far as my lessons for my girls and me attending classes very regularly. We moved there and joined there in the summer, and by November of that very first year, the group exercise director came to me and said, I've seen you in class, and I think you should be teaching, and I want you to start in January. So that was about 6 weeks away, which freaked me out. And when I went home and shared that with my husband, he said, I'm really surprised that you have not thought of this before, because you're a teacher and you love fitness, and this just combines the two of them. And at the time, when we're living on one income, which was not very much, the big salaries that you see in TV that big time college football coaches are making, those are extremely rare, and they don't happen at Butler University for the football coach anyway. So we were living on one salary, and to start teaching some classes at the Y meant I would get a free membership. All for it. So I started teaching some classes at the Waukesha Family YMCA, where it all kind of began, and went to my very first fitness conference about 3 months after I started teaching. Very first conference, very first morning, very first session, 7:30 a.m. that morning. And we're in a huge conference ball. And I've never done any of this before, never worked out with this many people. I just walk in, and it's Shalene Johnson and her sister and Anna Rita Sloss, who's in some of the old Turbo Jam videos. And it was like a magnet. I turned and I saw these people walk in, and I thought, they have to be the presenters. And oh my goodness. And they went on stage and they did Turbo Kick, and I thought, yep, this is it for me. So I kind of followed that Turbo Kick journey, got certified in that, decided to submit my application to be a master trainer for Shalene, got accepted to do that. And that's really where my fitness journey started to take off. Shalene was the person who inspired me to see a bigger picture. There was a whole lot more to life than just, and I use that term loosely, just teaching at the Waukesha Family YMCA. That's important, and that was my heart and soul. Teaching is my heart and soul. But there's a lot of other people out there that I can affect and maybe aspire to inspire as well with fitness, and that's kind of where the master trainer stuff took off. We were about halfway through that. I'd been a master trainer for a few years when the Beachbody stuff started to kind of come about, because she got approached to do Turbo Jam on the DVDs. And when she did Turbo Jam, Beachbody was talking to her about this kind of coaching opportunity, and they watched it for a while. Brett and Shalene Johnson watched it for a while before they brought some of us out and introduced the Beachbody opportunity to me. And I remember looking at my best friend, Christiane Drinkin, saying, this feels a lot like what we're doing already on a bigger scale. So that's really cool when you can start to see that, you know what, I'm probably already doing some of this, but now I get to scale it up and maybe I can actually affect even more lives. And maybe, and this was my God's honest goal right from the very beginning, maybe I could make enough to pay for the music that I had to buy to teach my classes. And maybe I might even pay enough to buy my Nikes, because I'm a big Nike girl. And that was my goal. Could I just make enough money to pay for my music and pay for my shoes, and because certainly teaching classes at the YMCA was not making me any money. And that's kind of where I started with Beachbody, was could I just make a little bit of spending money? I had no idea what I could do with this business at all. My parents had been in Amway when I was growing up, and it had been nothing but a positive experience. They really enjoyed it, and they really enjoyed their experience with it. But I don't remember them making huge amounts of money for it. They just really, really enjoyed it. So I kind of went into it thinking, this is going to be really cool. But I certainly didn't go into it thinking 6 years from now I'm going to be in the Millionaires Club. That never, ever, ever occurred to me. It just was kind of what I was already doing, and it allowed me to do it on a bigger scale. As I continued to dive into it and our team in Indiana started to grow, I started realizing there are all these amazing people out here who love fitness and health like I do, and they want to do it on a bigger scale too, and I can help them build a business, and maybe they can pay for their music or their Nikes or whatever they want to pay for, and we can kind of all do this together. And it just continued to expand. And the more people I was around, the more coaches I would be around, the more I was around Carl Deichler or any of the corporate, the more I started to see this immense potential in this business. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And I remember waking up shortly after I started teaching fitness and going, oh, this is what I was supposed to be doing with my life all along, this fitness thing. And I feel like that about Beachbody every day. Oh, this is what I was supposed to be doing. All the stuff that I did in my life before was setting me up to kind of be down this path and helping me get ready for this path as well. So it's pretty cool to think I've been doing this 6 years, but it's mind-blowing to think where we're going to be 6 years from now. It's crazy.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that were at Super Saturday, you probably noticed there was a room full of 425 people. So can you tell us, like, what was your first Super Saturday like? Because I know, but I don't know if everybody knows.
The first Super Saturday we had when Beachbody first started, because before Super Saturday was an event called the Game Plan. And of course, when we started Team Sparta, there was nothing in Indiana. So we traveled. We went to Tennessee, we went to Chicago, we went to Ohio, and we would travel these events called the Game Plan. And then Beachbody decided that they wanted to do it quarterly and wanted to do it more cohesively, which is pretty cool to think that across the country, all these Beachbody coaches are doing this same thing on the same day. So our first one was at Plum Creek Golf Course Country Club, not very far from my house. And oh gosh, Jenny, what were there? Maybe 50 people. Maybe 50 people on that first one, and they had a little video. We played the video. We did some recognition, and it was a extremely scaled down version of what we did on Saturday. But if we had 50 people there, that could be stretching it. It was small. It was cool, but it was small.
Yeah, yeah. So Julie always talks about how, like, when she first, when you started as a coach, you could fit your team into your living room. Yes. And it's kind of cool. Yeah. It's kind of cool. If it's okay, I'd like to share that, your organization that we're a part of is 22,000 strong.
It is.
So that's a huge accomplishment. So my next question is a big kind of like general question. So feel free to answer it however you want. But basically, we're just interested in what you would attribute most to your success. So what is it that you've done, whether it's through personal development or, whatever it is, how do you think you've grown the most, or what do you attribute most to your success?
I think a couple pieces. One, without a doubt, consistency. Absolutely without a doubt. And that's not to say there aren't times when you're less than happy with how your business is going, or you're hoping that something was a rank advancement might happen, or a coach would join you, and it does. There's definitely ups and downs in this business, but there are ups and downs in every single business they're in life. Not every day teaching high school was unicorns and puppies and rainbows. There was a lot of days when it wasn't so much, and I still got up and went back to work every day. So it's always interesting to me when people join as a coach and like, well, it's just not fun anymore. Not every job is fun every single day. But what's so important is consistency. I have never wavered, not one time, in my belief in this company, in my belief in this business, in my belief that we can make a difference, my belief in the products, and that has remained consistent. Now, has my brand evolved? I think it has. Has my leadership grown? I think it has. Have I grown as a person? Absolutely. I am not the same person that I was 6 years ago when I started. I think I'm a better version of myself than when I started 6.5 years ago. And that can happen because this culture, if you want to grow your business, it forces you you have to get better if you want to grow your business. But consistency, I believe, truly is the biggest key to where I am right now. Just truly buying into and embracing the business and every single piece of it, paying attention to the details that I needed to pay attention to, and getting rid of the fluff that I didn't really need to pay attention to, and being very consistent with social media and my presence and my path, and making sure I'm consistently engaging and just I'm showing up. I'm consistently showing up every day and working my business. And I think that slow and steady wins the race. I've always told Jeff Hill and Carl Eichler, I am not the come out of the gates, fastest horse in the race, but I am not going anywhere. I am with Beachbody till the end. Slow and steady, I will build my business, but it is a business for the long term. I mean, my kids can hardly remember a time before Beachbody because it's just so ingrained in our lives now. And it may take me a little bit longer to reach some certain ranks or to do some other things I might want to do. But I'm not leaving this business. This business is a part of who I am. So I think consistency is so important. I think belief in the company and where we're going is important. And that comes from engagement and truly staying tied in with it. I cannot read a post by Carl Eichler and not think, I love this man and I love this company. And the only reason I know that is because I stay engaged with his posts and with with the surge calls and whenever he's speaking and on the YouTube channel. And I see who he is authentically. And that continues to fuel my desire to build this business. So consistency, belief, passion. I truly, truly do believe that we are making a difference with this business. And as long as we are authentic about trying to help people, this is a business that can make a difference. And I will tell you, honestly, there's a lot of marketing type companies out there. As I mentioned, my parents were in Amway, great company, and they had a phenomenal experience with it. But I don't know if products like that are necessarily changing lives. Mm-hmm. I suppose they can when people build financial, freedom for themselves, they can. But even without the financial freedom part, our products literally change lives. They literally change lives. Then they can change our life as we build a business. And, I don't have to be the person who couldn't find 50 cents. I couldn't find 2 quarters to buy a Diet Coke. When I used to drink Diet Coke, I could not find it. We were so poor. I couldn't find it. I don't have to be that person anymore. So not only do I get to change lives with our products, but I get to change our lives too. I honestly don't know where we would be without this business. I do not know how we'd send our children to college. I do not know how I would let them pursue their passions that they want to pursue. I have no idea how any of that would be happening without this business. Mm-hmm. So consistency, belief, and passion in the business and the company and in the products.
That's a great answer. I love that. Okay, I want to talk about personal development because that's something that we've shifted our focus to as a team. And I received questions from some of our team members and coaches, and a few of them surrounded personal development. So one of the questions was, number one, obviously, you know and agree that personal development is key. But what would you say are your top 3 picks for personal development for a new coach? And then also, how do you incorporate personal development into your day?
I know that lots of people immediately say go pro for a book, and that's great. And I think that's a great book, and it's an easy read, and I love that. But the 3 that I love the most, that I recommend all the time and that I give away all the time, are The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, Start by John Acuff, and EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. Those are the three I feel like have had the most impact on me. I need a book to be pretty interesting. I mean, I want to feel like I'm getting to know the author while I'm listening to it. I like to listen to them as well as read them, because I like to take a lot of notes, and I have to own the book because I need to highlight it and write in it and take notes. But I also like to listen to it because I really need to hear the author reading the book, because then you really understand what they're trying to say. But those three, I think, are probably the three in the last 6 years that had the most effect on me, that really helped me understand the power of consistency through the compound effect, but then the power of being an entrepreneur and some of the ups and downs that go along with being an entrepreneur. I never owned my own business ever. You know, I worked for a school district, and I worked for the YMCA, and then my husband works for, a school. We've never owned a business. So I really enjoyed those two, the START and the EntreLeadership, to help me understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur. But the compound effect, I think, is just applicable across the board. Chalene Johnson's Push is fabulous as well. I think that's, if I could do 4, I would do that one as well. And I was trying to look back here at some of my others. But those are my 3. If I have to pin them down to 3, those are my 3. And I like John Maxwell, and I like Brian Tracy. I don't love them as much as I love these other 3, because I like the way they come across in their books. I really like Darren Hardy's stuff. So I try to find as much of his stuff that I possibly can. I love Dave Ramsey's zero BS attitude, just zero. I mean, there's no excuse that you can come up with that he is like, that's ridiculous. And I love that. And I like John Acuff's kind of sarcastic but realistic take on what it's like to own your own business. So I think those 3 are the best. And in my own day, I incorporated a couple different ways. I get a lot of newsletters and blogs that come through my inbox that I take a look at and read. A lot of those are focused more on social media, which help me with my business. So I get a lot of those. I'm constantly listening to something on audio, whether it's a podcast or an audio book. And then I'm generally reading something throughout, the day, somewhere I'm reading something. Right now, I've got a couple different things going on. I'm listening to my podcast that I have on rotation. I am listening to a John Maxwell book, Great Leaders Ask Great Questions. I'm listening to that. But I also have the book Zero Belly Diet by David Zinko, and he's the editor of Men's Health, because I'm in fitness. So I need to know what is out there regarding the trends in health and fitness. So I'm also reading that kind of stuff as well.
Perfect. No, I love that. And I have to say this as a personal side note. You gave me the Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. Have you read it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's going to become one that I give out a lot, because I love the honesty of what it really means to be an entrepreneur.
Here's another one there's no BS.
Yeah.
I mean, when he speaks, he's like, "Are you kidding me? This is an excuse? What?" He doesn't. There's just no room for BS. And if you want to build a business that's truly life changing on all levels, you don't have time for BS. You just don't have time for it.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's move on and talk a little bit about challenge groups. So what are your top 3 bits of advice when it comes to running an effective challenge group? So what are the keys to making that challenge group really click and work?
It's interesting. I was just having this conversation with Arnold, our regional director, a conversation similar to this earlier this week. And we were talking about how our team Sparta, was doing challenge groups before challenge groups were in existence. We were doing this on Facebook, as I think a lot of coaches were, before Beachbody packaged it as a challenge group and said, let's do it like this. So I feel like our team does challenge groups really well. A couple pieces to making them take off or gain some traction. If you're getting ready to run a challenge group, you're doing something with a challenge group, one post on social media is not going to work ever. And the groundwork for your challenge group starts way before the challenge group ever starts, generally. When PiYo was coming out in June, I was talking about PiYo for 6 months before the home workout came out, because I knew, we all know when stuff's coming out. There's no secret when stuff's coming out. We know it. We've known since September that 21 Day Fix Extreme is coming out in February. So if we haven't been mentioning it at some point in this time, what have we been doing? You know, we all knew PIO was coming out. I'm talking about it for 6 months before then, so that when it comes time to start a challenge group, I've laid the groundwork. And then it's not just one post that gets challengers. It's a consistent brand of social media that helps draw people in so that they can go back and scroll down my newsfeed and see, oh, she's always talking about health and fitness. So she might be a source for me. She might be a resource for me. And that's kind of what we're all aspiring to be, is people's health and fitness and wellness coach, their resource. So they need to understand that you are not the expert, you're their resource for information. And you've been researching and gaining traction through your social media up to the point when the program releases and you're getting ready to start your challenge group. You're not waiting till the program releases and then starting to talk about your challenge group and then hoping you gain some traction. You've been doing the work, laying the groundwork prior to that. I think that is so key in a challenge group. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit of luck of the draw in the chemistry. You know, you get a challenge group, sometimes you're like, these people, I don't even need to be in this group. These people are so awesome. They're doing it on their own. And then you'll get other people where you could, I could post a video of me dancing naked on this table and there's no reaction whatsoever. So sometimes it's just a little bit of the chemistry, a little bit of the luck of the draw. And you just hope that you get people that will engage. You set that up in the beginning as well by saying, you know, this is what I expect. We got to engage and we got to interact, and tell them why. They got to engage and interact because that's how we grow and learn from each other, because we all have the same struggles and challenges. You know, Sally Joe over here thinks she's the only person who struggles with nighttime snacking. I'm going to tell you she's not. And when she gets in there and shares that with that challenge group and 5 other people say, oh my gosh, I do too, that's where the power is. That's why challenge groups are game changers. We set that tone by doing the program ourselves with them, and then sharing our pictures and videos of us doing or post doing or whatever. You know, I've been doing a video every morning with the Max 30 group. And this morning I was very honest, my workout today, it was hard. It was bad. I wasn't very good, but I did it. And I told them that, I told them that I even had new shoes on and my workout today wasn't very good, but I did it. And that's what I want my challenge group to understand, that it's always about progress and not perfection. So we have to set that up. We have to set that tone. We have to create the challenge group as an experience and not just another Facebook group that they get notifications on. It's got to be something that they want to get in there every day and engage in, because you're creating such an experience and you're so dynamic and interesting and motivating and providing great content for them in that challenge group that they want to get in there. And does that mean it's going to take work on your part? Yes, that's what a challenge group is. It also means, for me, I don't run multiple challenge groups at a time. I just don't. I've never found that to be effective for me. Other people might be able to spread themselves and do it effectively. I just can't. So right now, all my energy goes to my Max 30 challenge group. And probably at the end of February, when I get ready to start my 21 Day Fix Extreme challenge group, that will be the only one I run for those 3 weeks. And then I might run something else, and then I'll run something else, but I only run the one challenge group so I can give all my energy and knowledge and passion and time to that challenge group, and they feel well taken care of. I think that's really crucial, that they feel like I'm really in there with them. That's what establishes the connection.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, let's segue over to more coach talk. As far as Coach Basics goes, I know that obviously Corporate Beachbody has asked you to speak on different videos and that kind of thing about Coach Basics. So I know you're kind of the Coach Basics queen when it comes to Coach Basics. But can you talk to my team specifically about the importance of Coach Basics and why you find it important for people?
I think Coach Basics answers the question, what do I do as a coach? Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. People come in as a Beachbody coach and they have no idea what to do, and how would they? I remember getting hired as an English teacher for the first time, and they're saying, okay, you have, this many classes, whatever. Literally a blank look, like, I'm not really sure what to do. I needed the older veteran teachers to take me under their wing and go, okay, this is how you plan out the hour of class. This is how you use your lesson plan book. This is what this means. They took me under their wing and helped me do that. And that's what we're doing with our new coaches in this industry too. Every industry has a learning curve. We're helping them with this learning curve by taking them under our wing and sharing them what the fundamentals of being a Beachbody coach means. Equally important, and I love this program so much, is the Emerald to Diamond group, because now we've got that next step. You can't go to the next step till you build your strong foundation, but that Coach Basics is the fundamentals of the business. You can't play basketball till you learn how to dribble. You can't, everything that we do in life starts with the fundamental behaviors, actions, thought processes. We can't go any further until we really have those ingrained, and almost to the point where we could teach it to our own coaches, and then moving to the Emerald to Diamond group and further cementing those behaviors, but taking them to the next level. And then once we're getting to Diamond, we're going back and teaching our coaches the fundamentals and then taking them through to the next step. So I cannot overstate the importance of these groups. And it's just like a fitness challenge group where everyone's in there together having the same struggles and challenges. That's happening in a Coach Basics group too. And how empowering is that for new coaches to understand, oh, I'm not the only one that heard 6 no's today. They heard it and they heard it and they heard it. Now we can come together and figure out, well, how would you answer that? How would you answer that? And together we're so much stronger than we are trying to figure this out on our own. You know, we've always said that we're never in business by ourselves. We might be in business for ourselves as CEOs of our own company, but we're never in business by ourselves. There's a reason why it's called Team Beachbody and not Julie Beachbody. It's because we're a team and we want to work together. And the more we work together, the stronger we are. So anytime you can get in any kind of training group like that, work with each other, share your struggles and your successes, you are a much stronger coach. And then you're much more equipped to help your own team move forward as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know that our team in particular we've kind of condensed our Coach Basics from that 60 days down a little bit. But it tends to be when people first come on as a coach, they typically say something like, well, what do I need to do first? Coach Basics is a great answer for that, because doing Coach Basics right off the bat is going to get you the knowledge that you need to just kind of that baseline foundation.
Absolutely.
So I think I mentioned this to you before we started recording, but I want to talk a little bit about it now that we are recorded, about creating diamonds and how, having a dream for this year to be a diamond coach, how that's going to actually happen for people. So you've obviously groomed a lot of diamonds, so you're a perfect person to ask, but I want you to talk a little bit to my team about what is it about diamond coaches that seems to start to convey success. So we see, people go Emerald, yay, congratulations. What is it about diamond that's different? And what do you see tends to happen in someone when they hit that level or higher?
Well, I think that sometimes we overestimate the importance of diamond. What I would really like your coaches to be focusing on is 2-star diamonds. Because you can get yourself to diamond. You've got a significant other and a sister and a brother and a mom and a dad. And you could probably get yourself to diamond by putting your entire family in your downline. That does not mean you're a strong diamond, but I bet you could. When it really starts to click is when you're a star diamond coach. Because guess what you had to do? You had to teach some behaviors to your team. So now you truly understand them as well. I think though when people reach diamond, there is a different level of weight and importance that the rest of the team affords them. They have there's a little different thought process, a little different perspective, a little different ranking, if you will, in people's minds, that they're engaged in working the business. They're not just in here, and that they're doing what they say they will, because we hear all the time, oh, I'm going to hit diamond. I'm going to hit diamond. I'm going to do this. This is my year. This is my year. And then it pans out that nothing ever really happens. What's far more powerful than that is the action behind it. So I think reaching diamond is a show of credibility and a show that you are starting to understand what needs to happen. Then as you get to 2-star and beyond star diamond, that's when you grasp how to teach that to your team. That's where the real importance comes in. Because again, you could set your family up underneath you and become diamonds, but when you can teach others how to grow their business, that's when you're making a true lasting legacy, and that's when you become a leader. Reaching diamond doesn't necessarily mean you're a leader. Reaching diamond means you've got a pretty good grasp of the business and you know what's going on and you're ready to take the next step into growth. To get from one step to the next, one of the most important pieces I think anyone can have is being coachable. Mm-hmm. The coaches that I've had on my team that are not coachable are not advancing rank. The coaches that I have on my team that are coachable, like Jenny, they'll advance rank. They will, because they're listening to feedback. And you have to remember, just because of where I am in the business, I don't just get feedback from my team. I'm getting feedback from corporates. I have a regular call with Jeff Hill, who's the senior vice president of Beachbody. I'm talking to our regional directors all the time. And I'm doing that on purpose because I want them to tell me how I need to get better. I've been in this business 6.5 years and I'm doing okay, but I can be a whole lot better. So I'm putting myself in situations where where I have to be okay and take it in and be coachable and listen to them tell me how I can get better so that I can get better. Mm-hmm. We all have to do that. So whether that's with your upline coach or with your success partner or whatever, we have to remain so coachable throughout our entire journey as a coach so that we can grow and develop, and then try to instill that behavior in our team as well so that they can grow and develop too. You're not getting from diamond to 2-star unless you're coachable. You're just not. You're not getting from diamond to 2-star unless you're willing to grow and change and learn and calibrate and tweak and adjust and go with it. I mean, you just have to grow to advance rank. So I love diamond. I think diamond's awesome, and we make a big celebration about it. And if you are one of my personally sponsored coaches, you will get diamond earrings when you advance to diamonds. But that is not where I want the focus to be for any of us. I want that focus to be 2-star diamond. Because when you're a 2-star diamond, you're in it. You're becoming a leader. You're in the bonus pool, which is fabulous. And you're not going anywhere. You are in it. That's where I want your sights to be set.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, that actually answered the second question I was going to ask. So I have a few questions that were given to me by coaches that I want to make sure I touch on before we quit. So one of them is, obviously, like we mentioned before, 22,000 in your downline, lots of coaches, lots of customers. How do you stay engaged with all of your customers and coaches? The official question says, as you started to gain more and more customers in your business, how did you continue to provide quality customer service as you added more clients? You can't give personal attention to everyone, so how did you keep in touch and help your customers feel valued when you can't treat them with the same attention?
That's a great question. I think that's a question for any business, especially as it's growing. And I have worked this year, probably 2014, I've worked more in 2014 to do more customer service wise and staying in touch with my customers than I have in the previous years, because I'm getting a better handle on it. And I think that's super important for everyone to understand. You better be evolving as a coach. I mean, the coach that I was when I started and the coach that I'm now are two different types of coaches, because I should be better, right? It's kind of like when my oldest daughter, who's 3 years older than my middle daughter, would race. They'd run a race and my oldest daughter would win. She'd be, I won. I think, well, you should because you're 3 years older than she is. You know, I should be better than I was 6 years ago. So as I continue to evolve, I'm always looking at how can I provide a little bit better customer service. The most important way that I do it, and I know Jenny does this too, is through a blog and a regular newsletter. I send out a lot of short newsletters, both with announcements of programs that might be coming in the company, and then just fitness, health, and wellness tips that I might be able to offer them through my experience. So I try to send out a blog or a newsletter more than once a week, a couple times a week, so that I'm in front of them, offering them some value. The ones that respond back, clearly energy matches energy. If you're responding back to me with a question, of course I'm going to be engaged with you. Lots of our customers never ever respond back to us. I'm quite sure they think we're not a real person, even though I'm signing my name right there. But I just keep putting it out in front of them because I think, you know, maybe there'll be something that clicks with them at some point, whether they ever respond back to me or not. So I do it through blogs. I do it through the newsletters. I keep my social media posts very current all the time, posting multiple times a day, constantly asking people, you know, make sure you're reaching out to me if you have any questions. But you certainly can't reach everyone. And honestly, not everyone wants to be reached. Some people just want to buy a program and be about their business. But when I go into my back office and I'm looking at my orders and I'm seeing that maybe someone bought a Max 30 challenge pack and I don't know them, I'm immediately emailing them to say, you know what, I've got a challenge group going on. Would you like to be a part of it? And offering them that option, whether I know them or not, it doesn't matter. And making sure they can get in a challenge group. So I think it's just constantly evolving and looking at the ways that we are trying to stay in contact with them and trying to offer lots of different ways, knowing that we can only do the best we can. And we want to offer the best information, the best content of value that we can. And then there's always just going to be people that don't respond to you. That's just who they are.
Yeah. I know that I was just talking to someone this weekend about how surprised I've been at the effectiveness of a newsletter. And I don't know if you heard Christine Dwyer's Platinum Presenters call from a few weeks ago. It was when you guys were in Facebook jail, and you could tell she was very perturbed. But she did a call where she had basically researched the other types of ways that you could run a challenge group if you got kicked out of Facebook. Mm-hmm. And of course, the other ways are terrible, right? They take a lot more time. But in that, talked about the importance of email marketing and having everybody's contact information. And I actually think that we don't put enough, priority or importance on the need and necessity for email marketing and for those newsletters. For me, I was communicating to my coach this weekend that I typically get at least 2 Success Club points a month minimum from somebody who has emailed me back about something I've said in my newsletter,
right?
Max 30 or a promotion or something like that. So I do think it's key, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, so in wrapping up, I want to make sure we touch on the importance of brand, because I think that's something that you do really well. So I know yesterday I did share with my team that Vanilla Trap by John Acuff. For those of them that took the time to read it, I know it kind of resonated, because it really does say, it's okay to be you, and it's okay to be different and not be liked by everybody. So could you talk about that and how brand has played a role for you?
Well, I think that I loved that blog that he did. What I wish he would have added into that blog a little bit is the ability to accept that you are different and it's okay to wave your freak flag, every day. The ability to accept that is an ongoing process, because we naturally want to just be with the masses. We just naturally do. And so the ability to just be who we are and be okay with rocking the boat is an ongoing process. And that's, I think that's probably part of my brand, but it's still an ongoing process to be okay with the fact that not everyone likes you. And you post a picture on social media of Max 30 and someone goes, "You're too thin, you need to eat a sandwich." And I think, I would never tell someone that. And I would never tell someone that they need to not eat a sandwich. So it's, you're always going to get those negative people out there, and you've got to get really okay with the delete button and being who you are. But I'm telling you that that's an ongoing process. That's a human, journey that we're all on.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, you froze on me.
Nature a little bit, and we just got to be okay with that. But the biggest part of brand is that it's consistent. And I know that I've told this to Jenny before. If you go onto my Facebook like page, you're going to see about 3 areas. I don't know a whole lot, but there are 3 areas that I do know. One is fitness, health, and wellness, and Beachbody plays a part in that, because Beachbody's not my brand. Beachbody's part of my brand. My family and Disney. Those are my 3 areas that I know a lot about. I know a lot about health and fitness and a lot about wellness. I know a lot about my family, and I know a lot about Disney, and all of that kind of works together. That's my brand. You will never, ever, ever see me post on my Facebook page that I have a headache, or that my dog peed in my car yesterday, or that, the myriad of things that happen in a family with 3 teenage girls at any point in time. You will never really see that stuff on my Facebook, because I don't need to put out any negative energy in the world, and that's not my brand. Mm-hmm. You will see when I say I struggled with my workout today, you'll see that, because that's okay, that I'm human, and I want people to understand that they have to still make fitness non-negotiable, but you'll never hear me say that I have a headache or that my dog peed in my car, even though those things are part of what's going on in everyday life. I just don't need to put that out on Facebook. Here's a newsflash. Even if it's in your head or it's taking place in your life, you don't actually have to put all of that on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Just because it's in your head or it's going on in your life, you don't actually have to put it on Facebook. And here's another newsflash. You don't actually have to take a picture of everything that happens in your life to document that it actually happened. It can still happen even if you didn't take a picture of it. Not everything has to go on Facebook. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. And if you are trying to build a business, in fitness, health, and wellness, because that's what you're trying to build a business in, fitness, health, and wellness, and helping people, then your page needs to look like that. And it's okay to have some pictures of your kids. It might be even better if your kid is working out with you and that's your picture, or whatever it might be. And believe me, I put pictures of my girls on there all the time, mostly because I think my girls are really awesome. So I'm going to put pictures of them. But more importantly, because I'm building my business to change my family's life. I'm building my business to change my family's life. So when I am posting a picture of my children, mostly it's because I'm so stinking proud and amazed that these children are mine. And also because the only reason they can do some of the things that they are able to do is because of my business. And I want everybody else in the world to have that same opportunity. So that's my brand, and that is consistent on my page. I only use my like page. I don't use my personal page anymore. I learned that from Facebook jail. So I only use my like page, and I am consistent with my brands on there. And by consistent, I mean 7 years of consistent. I don't mean 7 days, and I don't mean one post. So you have to understand that social media you're in it for the long haul, and you got to be you. When I auditioned to be a master trainer 12 years ago, Shalene said that first training, you need to be you times 2. Because people are looking for your story in particular, and while they may not want to wiggle it or pump it in a turbo kick class, they really think it's fun when you do, and that becomes part of your brand. And you start to develop your brand, you start to accept who you are and what you find comfortable and what you like about, and all of that, and then you capitalize on that. We're so often told that we need to work on our weaknesses and not our strengths. There's some truth to that. But why not put more energy towards the stuff we already do really, really well? Put a little bit of energy towards getting better at some of the stuff that we don't do very well, and put more energy and expound and capitalize on the stuff that we do really, really well, and put that out there for the world to see and wave the flag, whatever that might be, and just stay true to that. That's a whole lot easier than trying to fake who you are. If you just are who you are and capitalize on who you are and on those strengths, that's going to be a whole lot easier and connect and resonate with a whole lot more people than faking it. And I can tell you what you'll never also find on my Facebook page. That's a link to my Beachbody website. Ever. Mm-hmm. Maybe a link to my website, which is not my Beachbody site, my website, or a link to my blog, but never a link to my Beachbody site. Ever. Because
amen to that.
It's part of my brand. It's part of my brand. It's not who I am.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of times we just assume that, I'm a Beachbody coach, doesn't everybody know what Beachbody is? And that's my brand. And Beachbody, like you said, Beachbody is not your brand. Figure out your brand and be that times 2. Okay. I want to wrap up with one last question, and that is revolving around the why. I know at the beginning of the webinar or this call, when we started talking about how you started and how you wanted to be able to pay for your Nikes, and that obviously that's changed. And so I want to talk to you about how that why has evolved for you and what you're now able to do with your family. We haven't talked Disney yet, so I'm sure that'll come at this moment. So feel free.
Well, it's interesting because it is sometimes kind of a slow realization, some of the stuff that we're able to do that we couldn't do before. It is kind of a slow realization that we're able to pay for some of the stuff. And I think that one of the most common stressors in any marriage and any relationship is money. And when you don't know if you can get to the end of the month and pay your bills, that's a huge stress on a marriage. And we're talking about 2 people who have college degrees. My husband has 2 master's degrees, and I have hours towards my master's. And we couldn't figure out how to pay our bills because teachers don't make a whole lot of money. They just don't. And to not be able to provide for our children the way that we were provided for it as we were growing up was heartbreaking. To have to borrow money from my in-laws, horrible. Horrible. So it is a slow process a little bit, where you wake up one day and go, we could do that now. And I remember the first day the first time I got a check for $1,000 one week, and I called my husband. I said, I'm going to pay our mortgage this month with this check, and I'm going to get another one like that next week. And that's when the light bulb flipped for him, because for men, and men, if you're listening, and women, you might disagree with me, but my experience has said, we as females, we feel the business. We feel it. Men want to know the black and white and how much money you're going to make. And they may still resonate with the life change part of it, but they're a little bit more black and white than women. So my husband and I make a good pair because I feel it. And he's like, well, how are we going to pay for it? And it works very well together. And so when I sent him or when I called him and said, I'm going to pay our mortgage with that check this week, he was in then. And then we started to see what else we could do. And then we were able to pay down debt. And then we were able to go to Disney 6 times in 1 year. We could do that. We could, because there was 5 years when we couldn't. And, Jenna can go, this is what I'll cry, because it's just crazy to think about. Like you said, Jenny's, there were 6 people sitting in my living room. Mm-hmm. And now there's 22,000. It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I would really like, if I can talk you into kind of closing us out like you did at Super Saturday with I've already got you emotional.
So. I know. It has to be the post Super Saturday letdown. It's just weird when you think about, how far you've come.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
My hometown was 1,400 people. 1,400. There is no stoplight in my town.
Yeah.
If I could do this business, anyone could do this business.
Absolutely.
I am nothing special. I just decided that this was going to be the way out. There was no other way out. There was no way that we could do what we do or make this. There was no other way. And I knew my passion was fitness and that's the direction I had to take. But there was no other way. When this came into our life, it was this is the way. And when you truly embrace that what this business can do and how big it can be, there's no stopping to what you can do. There's no, they're just visits.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I loved what you said at Super Saturday you talked about your husband and the student athlete.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's such a great, so
I'd love for you to, because not everybody on my team was at Super Saturday. Hopefully they all are next time, but I'm hoping maybe reshare that.
So my husband's been a football coach since we've been together. We've been married 22 years this July. And when we were young, we had no children, and we were living in Texas, he got a book in the mail from a kid. And the inscription was, Coach Voris, that, I was walking to the airport and I saw this book and I thought of you and I sent it to you. And, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. And I'm like, this is awesome. But it was a kid I did not know. And I try to know my husband's players to some degree. And I did not know this kid's name. And I'm like, this is really cool. And, as I shared at Super Saturday, that in and of itself is, I think, a little bit of a statement on the kind of kid that it is, because he's 23, 24 years old, probably doesn't have a ton of money. He's walking through an airport and he sees this book that reminds him of his football coach, buys it and takes the time to inscribe in it and sends it to him. And that right there, I think, is cool. Except when I asked my husband who the kid was, and he said he did not really have him as a player. The kid had been on the practice team. He wasn't even one of my husband's players. He'd been on the practice team and had never started a game, ever. It's called the scout team in football. I remember my husband going, he was just on the scout team. So he was a kid that was on the practice team that my husband didn't even have a huge amount of contact with. And yet something about what my husband was doing changed this kid's life. Enough so that a couple years later, he was walking through an airport and thought of him and found the book and mailed it to him. And I remember thinking this weekend when I was thinking in my head about Super Saturday, how cool that was that he had changed that kid's life, and how much cooler it would be if he had done it on purpose. And we have that opportunity that we are walking around every day as living, breathing examples of what can happen. Anyone that's followed my journey for 6.5 years has certainly seen the changes that I am able to do with my family. I could care less about a Louis Vuitton purse. I really don't care. I like to go to Nordstrom's, but I don't care about Louis Vuitton purse. But anyone who's followed me knows that you'll see my family at Disney a couple times, more than once a year. You're going to see we went to New York City for the holidays. We are doing things. My kids are doing amazing things because of this business. That's what people are seeing, and that's just how I'm living. But what if I did it on purpose? And what if instead of just hoping that someone might come to me or that my story might connect with someone, what if I went out there and did it on purpose? And what if I deliberately invited and deliberately shared and deliberately lived a life that demonstrated how much I believe in this business and what it can do for people? What if I did it on purpose? I think the ripple effect would be huge, and I think the result would amaze us all. I think it would be mind-blowing. So 6 years from now, when we have 100,000 people and Jenny does this call and I cry again, then it'll be because we did it on purpose and not because we just let it happen. And there's power in living your life so that it just happens, because you're living a really good life when it just happens. But doing it on purpose is so much more powerful. Mm-hmm. So why not be intentional about what we're doing and changing lives? Because what we have here is really, really amazing. Really amazing. And I'm proof positive of it.
Absolutely. Well,
so is Jenny. So if you're on her team and you're not listening to everything she's saying, you're cray-cray, because I don't have very many coaches on my team who are more passionate about helping people and helping their team than she is. So if she's telling you to do something and you're resisting it, don't come to me for help, because I'm going to tell you to go right back to her. She knows what she's talking about, and she has your best interest at heart, and she truly, truly, truly wants the best for you.
Absolutely. Well, that's a perfect place to end. So sorry about the emotional.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry about that. As far as I know, I think Zoom is going to kick us off here in a minute. So I'm getting a little warning. So I really appreciate your time, Julie. This was awesome.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I got to figure out how to get this recording. It's recording, but I got to figure out how to get it sent to my team. But I really appreciate your time today and always. But I also want you to know that I'm just very grateful for you as a leader. And I'm really excited to be able to communicate what you've taught me to my team. So team, this is Julie Voris. You can find her at Julie Voris Inspire Fitness on Facebook. Highly recommend you like her page. Obviously a Team Sparta as well. So thanks again, Julie.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome. I'll send you the recording as well once I get it processed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good day. See ya.
Yeah.